everyone, and welcome to Beauty and the Biz, where we talk about the business and marketing side of plastic surgery. I'm your host, Catherine Maley, author of Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying, as well as consultants to plastic surgeons to get them more patients and more profits. Now, today's special guest is Dr. Kevin Sadati. He's a facial plastic surgeon practicing in lovely Newport Beach, California. Now, Dr. Sadati specializes in facelifts and rhinoplasties and performs surgery in his gorgeous state-of-the-art in-house surgery center, and non-surgical procedures are performed in his aesthetic lounge. I love that name. After graduating from UC Berkeley with degrees in Eastern Art and History, he did wound healing research at UC San Francisco, and he got his medical degree from the Midwestern University in Illinois. Then Dr. Sadati continued his head and neck training and general surgery at the Medical College of Philadelphia and his fellowship plastic and reconstructive surgery in Seattle. Now, he's a member of many associations and he's a speaker at the medical conferences where I see him often. And since Dr. Sadati never lost his love of the arts, he continues to study oil painting and sculpting as a way to hone his skills. And I love his tagline. It's the hands of a surgeon with the eyes of an artist. Dr. Sadati, welcome to Beauty and the Biz.
Thank you so much for having me here, Catherine, and I appreciate having me.
Absolutely. So how did you get from San Francisco to Philadelphia to Seattle and then to Newport Beach?
Before I got to San Francisco, I want to say I was born in Iran, but made in America. So when I was 23, I moved to San Francisco Bay Area. But before that, after graduating from high school, there was a war going on, and all the medical schools and universities were closed, and they basically drafted every young man to go to the war. And I was not anywhere in my mind wanted to be a surgeon or a medical field. I was a total engineer, building stuff, and I was home to go to become a major engineer. So what happened, they drafted me, and I ended up to be a medic. I don't know why. They said, you're going to be a medic. And they taught me like little medical thing for, 3 months, not much. And then they dumped me on the front line. And then suddenly my eyes opened. I'm like, holy. And then you have to take care of so many wounded soldiers and serious trauma, not just like a little laceration stuff. And quickly I said, you know what? I need to get my game up to take care of these soldiers and do a better job and what I'm doing. But I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just have an ambulance, a driver, and I have to take care of this seriously wounded soldiers. So I started reading and getting literature and trauma books and medical books. I had no idea the terms because I was more mathematician. So I became very interested and started studying and helping those soldiers. So after 2 years being on the front line, when I was done, then I was able to get my passport because they won't give you passport or driver's license unless you finish your service. So I got my passport and I got out. So I told my parents, I'm not going to stay here. I got to go for my higher education. So I'm leaving here. So I packed on my own, went to Germany, stayed there for 3, 4 months, went around. I didn't like it at all. Nothing bad about German people, but I didn't feel like this is going to be my home. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the land of opportunity. And that's where I put my eyes on. And finally, I got a student visa to come to the United States and started studying. No language. I had barely spoken anything. So 23, signed up for community colleges, English as a second language. So I studied there, and also I took my classes like prerequisite for pre-med, because then I changed my mind to become a medical doctor. So I started, math stuff I was good at. I didn't have to put any effort, like physics, calculus and stuff. I was taking those classes, and I was taking art classes, which was biology. I had no knowledge of that. So I started taking those along taking English classes, and after well, I studied English for a couple of years before I went to community college. Then after 2 years of community college, I applied for University of California at Berkeley, and I got full scholarship to go there and get. Actually, I studied in molecular cell biology and neuroscience study double major, and I got full ride, and I'm very thankful for them that they realized who I was and they loved my story, and they knew I had a mission. So that was lovely. So I finished my education there. Then I had no idea how to go to medical school. Honestly, I always ask. One of the things that I recommend for people that they don't know what directions they're going in this country or any country, all you have to do ask. There are a lot of people out there that they're willing to, especially in the United States, honestly. This country is amazing. The resources are infinite. Like there's so much information and so many people are willing to help you out. I had no connection, zero connection. All I had to do I asked my professor at community college, how do I go to become a doctor? He goes, first you have to go to university. I'm like, how do I go there? He goes, like, these are the application. And he wrote me a letter of recommendation for Berkeley. So that's how and there I started asking people, how do I go to medical school? I said, okay, gotta do this, gotta take MCAT. So, I ask people, they help me, they guide me through, navigate through my life, and I just follow their directions. I work hard. I work, well, I went to school all along from 8 to 4 p.m. And from 5 p.m., I was working in a restaurant, waiting. First, I was busboy, and then I became a waiter, working at night till midnight, almost coming back home in BART station from San Francisco to Oakland, where I was living. San Francisco was expensive. I was doing all my homework while I was on BART. So anyhow, so I finished Berkeley. I went to UCSF in San Francisco Bay Area. While I was working in that area, I also did research in a laboratory, and I figured out I could finish my MCAT and application. I got to medical school, 4 years in Chicago. Wonderful experience, great friends I met there. I got some direction. I did a lot of, let's say, rotation during my last year of medical school. So I knew what direction I want to go because you eliminate things that you don't want to do. So I knew I don't want to be a OB-GYN because the lifestyle was like chaotic. Or I didn't want to be ER doctor. It was not matching my lifestyle and the way I manage my life. I knew I'm going to be a miserable person. But I like surgery, but I didn't know what and what kind. I just kept my mind open, and I went to different rotations, and I finally found my love, which was ear, nose, and throat, head and neck surgery, very complex and very artistic in some sense, and got accepted to go to Philadelphia College of Medicine, PCUM is called, and there I got a chance to, again, when you go to ear, nose, and throat, head and neck surgery, there are different variation in that subspecialty there are. You can do ear surgery, specialize in ear, specialize in rhinology, specialize in voice, specializing in head and neck reconstructive surgery, or facial plastic surgery. So it's not like one thing. You can be broad or you can be subspecialized. So since I was, I like art, I like painting, and I took classes while I was in Philadelphia. I took some painting and sculpting to redevelop my skill in a different setting. So I was taking side by side while I was resident. I was taking classes at night at art schools for honing my skill, and I gravitated toward more facial plastic surgery. Then I finished some of my training in facial plastic surgery in Philadelphia, and I went to Seattle further develop my to fellowship to get better at my cosmetic procedures rather than reconstructive. And thereafter, well, I met my wonderful wife in East Coast before I moved to Seattle, which we get married. She was working at NIH. She was a fellow PhD and studying immunology, and we were introduced through two different friends of ours, and we met, and then we got to know each other, both from Iran, but I just met through friends, and wonderful, super smart gal, beautiful. So we met and we got married literally, and we moved to Seattle. Had a kid right away. I'm like, that was like not a good idea, but it was just accident, I would say. Which my daughter now just we dropped her off at MIT
Oh,
yesterday. So not a bad thing. So I'm glad we kept her.
and then how'd you end up in Newport Beach?
So after I finished my fellowship in Seattle, I intended to stay there because my program director wanted to hand me his practice and sell the practice to me. But my wife said, no, 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 no. This environment makes me very depressed. The weather was like gloomy, raining, confusing for us because you barely see sunshine. She goes, no, we can't develop our homeland here. We just gotta better. If we either we go back to East Coast, or if you want to go back to San Francisco Bay Area that you're talking about how good it was, we go over there. So I applied for a lot of positions in Bay Area, but there was not much of facial plastic interest. And I developed, I said, you know what, I'm going to try Southern California. Boy, I got 10 different interviews. So I got interviews with a group of plastic surgeons that they didn't have facial plastic surgeons. So I joined in. I worked with them for 2 years. Then I got recruited by Lifestyle Lift, which was a basically I would call a facelift machine. They were like a huge company with advertising on TV, and they're bringing that like the satellite offices all over the country, and they recruited physicians who were doing facelifting to do a mini facelift in office setting. So for me, it was a great opportunity because I got to do thousands of facelifts there, and I created my own technique, not to be just a mini facelift that they want intended to do for people, because people want to go facial rejuvenation. What they show on TV and what they were asking people to do was two different stories. They wanted to do bare minimum, cheap little face procedure, little skin, and but the people that were advertising on TV, they were like full on faceless. So it was a kind of deceptive in my opinion, but I had an obligation in my heart that said, you know what, these people are coming to me. They want facial rejuvenation, not just looking at the price what they pay. So I developed my own technique, and I really producing great results. But after a while, it became like so many, like pushing you to do more and more surgeries in a day. Some surgeons were doing 6 surgeries a day. I'm like, this is like a mill shot. Like I can't do more than three. And I come 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I do three, and there were some people doing like 6 cases, and they were done by 5 or 6. I'm like, wow. So it just the culture became very toxic and corporate. So in the middle of recession, it was end of 2010. Even it was bad economy. I got out. I said, you know what? I'm going to start my own. you
I
know.
know. Lifestyle Lift was such a big deal. The minute I turned 50, in my mailbox was that packet. And it was brochures, before and afters, testimonials. It was a Band-Aid, not a bandage. It was not even stitches. Like it was those people knew how to talk to women, but I don't know about the result of that, but they were saying literally like no general anesthesia, no stitches, no
No
scars, no
drain,
downtime, no
no
drain,
drain,
nothing. And I'm
lunch.
like, this is a miracle. I mean, I know better because I'm in the industry, but so many consumer women went for it. It was a big deal until it imploded, but
Yeah.
good experience on your end though, huh?
No, 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 it was great. I mean, you know what? In life, I never say I had a bad experience
Yeah,
because those bad experiences were stepping stones.
absolutely.
Even I hated it at the end, and I was like feeling sorry why the hell I did that in my life. But now I look at it, I say, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be efficient. I wouldn't be understanding the anatomy better. I wouldn't take the different steps to create new techniques. So yeah, it was terrible, but again, like war, I turned a bad situation to a good situation. So
Yeah.
that's my thinking. I always, even I'm in the worst situation ever, I try to look at how I can do something that I can exist in that situation.
Hmm.
Makes sense or not? So even that was bad. Even I had my patients on TV because I was doing really a notch up procedure than what they were advertising. So they were a couple of my patients were on TV have for their advertisement had this infomercial actually. So with all that, again, it was a stepping stone for me, but I left in the middle of financial crisis coming to a new practice. I got one room in a plastic surgery in Newport Beach. Nobody knew of me. I was very low key. I said, you know what? I'm gonna start producing some good results. Let the results talk. I'm not gonna do huge advertising or anything. Let people talk about it. So
Were
in
you also
little,
doing recon to
yeah,
bring in some
yeah,
money?
yeah. So I start doing um, obviously some cosmetic procedure, facelift. Some of my patients found out about me where I was now, referring their friends. But again, it was not enough to sustain. So I went from very high income. I was making very good income. Suddenly dropped to almost null. So I started doing some ENT stuff. Also, even I was not comfortable doing it. I didn't want to do it. But hey, you're running a medical practice. It's a business. You have to feed your employees. You have to sustain your system. So I continued doing some work for other surgeons for ENT on the side while I was developing my business. You got to pay for website development. You got to pay for certain things that you don't know exist till you put your hands and make your hands dirty and you go, oh, I'm missing a fax machine here. And that costs this much. So initially, everything is cost you, and developing business is very costly. But you have to be patient. You got to develop gradually, cut the cost down, and then don't overspend because you don't want to run out of money. And then go slowly. So that's my advice to people who are starting. You know, if you don't have a dad or somebody who can lend you tons of money, like me, I saved some money, but I didn't know how this gonna unfold. Opening my own practice and in one room in somebody's office, it was not easy to navigate. So I went very slowly to learn what business is. I had no idea about business because somebody else was constantly running the business part of it for me. Whether it was that big practice or lifestyle, I was hands off. So I had no idea of what it means to have credit card processing, to have insurance, all that stuff was like foreign. So you start learning and start developing practice, developing a website, printouts, how to write it, what to write, how to describe yourself. All that stuff takes time. So anyhow, and as you know, in Newport Beach, there are hundreds of around me. There are literally 85 plastic surgeons around me in a less than a mile radius. But I didn't feel competition. I didn't want to compete with anyone or get into competition. It's not a competition. The only way I compete and I see somebody's good, I want to have better before and after results than that person. Otherwise, I don't have anything bad to say about anybody. If the results are not good, well, that's their limitation. If the results are good, I want to beat that result. That's how I think. That's my own shortcoming if I can't do that. So that's how I look at it. So I put my head down, start working on myself, start fine tuning my own technique, and honestly, just word of mouth, hairdressers referring people to me, other doctors. I wasn't doing any injectables or anything initially, so there were some physicians who had med spas who see my patients and they get injectables and say, "Who did your face?" "Oh, Dr. Sadati." "Oh, okay." And then they start asking, and then referral coming in from them, from hairdressers, from all over, primary care physician. So I started getting busy, and I said, you know what? I needed my own space. So the beauty of the time, I said adverse time, sometimes great time. In 2010, a lot of med spas were going out of business. So there was a fantastic location was opening, was already a med spa. This lady was just wanted to get out of her lease. So I went in there and she had some nicely decorated office. And she goes, "Well, I want $500,000 for TI." I said, "Listen, I don't have any of them. I give you $50,000, let me come in." She goes, "Oh no, this." And then I waited a month later. She called me. She said, "Yeah, I don't want to pay rent. Come and take this."
No kidding.
Yeah, I got lucky. I mean, sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you have to ask.
She went from 500 to 50? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I said, "That's all I have. I can't come up with any more money. I don't have anything going on for me." That's it.
Nice.
Anyhow, gave her 50, moved in. I had to do a little TI. I did to make it a little specifically home to my own way of practice. I created a little procedure room and I started doing those facelift I was doing in office in my new office now because I didn't have a surgery center. So it became busy, and then I brought injectable nurses. I brought esthetician on board, and I started getting more and more staff. And I had 2,500 square feet for me, and I was running out of space. And I told my landlord, "Listen, I gotta leave. I gotta find a bigger place." She goes, "Oh, where are you going?" I said, "Well, I gotta find a place." But no, I like you. I want you to stay here. I'm like, "You don't have any more room." She goes, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I need more space upstairs. I want to create a little bigger office." She goes, I'll let you have that upstairs." I said, "Well, there are three doctors up there. What are you going to do with them?" He goes, "I move up." Landlord moved those three doctors. She created another TI, another office they had. He gave it to them. And she told me, "Whatever you want to do here, show me your plan." I showed my plan. She goes, "Yeah, you can have it." So I got another 2,500 square feet on the second floor, and then I designed my office that you've seen the photos of it. That
It
is
is
staircase.
breathtakingly gorgeous. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful.
So I had a great and amazing architect. I got lucky. I found this guy, Mohsen Qureshi, with Cohen.
I just had him on the podcast.
Yes, he
He's
is
great.
amazing. He's
Yeah.
a genius, almost,
Hmm.
I would say, in what he does. So he came out and looked at the place. I wanted to do bare minimum changes. Keep this here, keep this, put a little staircase. He goes, "Don't worry about it. Talk about it." And then finally he came up with the idea. I helped him to design and then suddenly became something like spectacular. But it took a time, 18 months to build it because, okay, while we're working on the first floor, they were building the second floor. And then we moved from second floor to the from first floor to the second floor, they start building down there. And when it came to build, connect the two floors, they had to cut the whole floor
Yeah.
and then connected, built a brand new staircase. It was not like purchasing from Home Depot. They had to build it. So it was a huge dilemma with the city, going back and forth. I had to go to city, talk to the development department myself, sit there and just explaining things. So finally, I built my own OR. That's what I recommend with surgeons who start. If they are able to have their own operating room,
Mhm.
uh, they will go 10 miles ahead of anybody else
Yeah.
because you own your own time. Whereas surgery center, you have to abide with the time they have available. They have limited time, limited surgery. If I want to do surgery tomorrow, I can tell my staff, okay, tomorrow, with the case tomorrow, we start early. So I push the patients down a little bit, the uh, consultation or whatever. I can do a case. So if I have a case that I want to add to my schedule. Whereas in a surgery center, maybe they're full, so you can't do anything. So one of the recommendations for surgeons who start, I know it's going to be difficult. What made me successful, I think, in terms of my own way of looking at it, having my own surgeon.
Every
Because
surgeon I've ever talked to has said it was the best thing they've ever done. It was painful doing it.
yes,
The permits are a nightmare. And but it was priceless. The time that they
yeah,
had.
it's listen. If it is not hard, it's not gonna be good. I mean, you have to pay the price. You pay the price, but you're gonna have the trophy.
And,
So
and talking about that trophy, how different do you feel? Does your staff feel? Do your patients feel in an environment like that? And anyone who hasn't been to this website, you have to check it out. It's drkevinsadati.com. Don't go now because you're listening to the podcast, but Dr. Kevin Sadati is Sadati. Their staircase is exquisite. It's just lovely. How much did that change your vision of you and your world and your life?
well, okay, what it did, first of all, it gave me more space to grow.
Yeah.
I was able to bring another surgeon on board, and I may be able to bring another surgeon. So you're talking about, if you're talking about business, that's how it develops. The more space you have, the more your room you have to grow. If you're in a 1,500 square feet, how are you going to fit another surgeon in there? There's no way. So the more space you have, the more you can grow. So I have one surgeon right now. So I'm doing facial rejuvenation surgeries and some rhinoplasties, and the other surgeon is doing body contour. So very complementary, and so I also have enough space to bring another surgeon on board right now. I have surgical facility; they can operate here. Let's say if you have like each want to do 2 days a week, one of us, we can go across the street to it in a surgery center. So more revenue comes to the practice, and also you have the staff that are fully trained to do what you want. Not in a surgery center, you go, they do foot surgery, they do laparoscopy, and then you show up, you want to do a face. That's a whole different mindset. So the beauty of having your own surgical facility is you train your staff to do exactly what you want to do so you become more efficient. So you're not wasting your time looking for a suture that they don't have. You're not looking for, oh, Jack didn't show up today. So Joe is here. He's never worked with you. So imagine how that surgeon is going to feel through the whole operation. It's not going to be easy. So having your own place, having your own staff is hugely advantageous. And having your own surgery center is definitely a must for surgeons who can afford it. And you got to take risks. The way I look at it, a lot of people say, "Oh my God, you spent all this money on the furniture and staircase and the whole Italian stuff that you imported from sink to this and that. It costs a lot of money." I said, "Yeah, okay." I look at it over 10 years period. I'm not talking about 20 years, 10 years period that I got the loans. Okay. Over this 10 years period, let's say I spend $2 million for renovation on all the equipment and everything. $200,000 a year, and it's about $18,000 a month.
Nice.
That's not much.
And
Think about it.
look at the benefits of it. So how did the
So
patients?
that's what I mean. So when you look small, when you're small, you think small, and then 18,000. Oh my God, 18,000. But when you have more space, now you have another surgeon, possibly another. I have nurse injectors. I have a nurse who does lasers and PRP and microneedling. I have a statistician that does facial, and I have other stuff. I have more equipment, so you attract more individuals coming to your practice and provide services for them. So that 18,000 literally is a peanut when you think about it. What you benefit to get, and I have a place that I love. When I show up at work, I look at my office, I walk in it, I feel good. It's not like I'm going, oh my God, look at this carpet, still like looking like 1970s carpet.
Yeah.
So, I enjoy it, and my staff love it. Is patients enjoy it, but I didn't do it to show off anything. I did it for myself to enjoy it and also expand my business, be able to bring other surgeons on board. So I don't want to work all day, so I have somebody else to also work if I'm not working.
Yeah. Well, and that's how you scale. You bring on other revenue generators, so you're not the only one, holding up the whole ship. Do you find that you can charge more when you have set yourself up like this because the patients look at it and say, "Okay, I don't think he's going to be negotiating with me." Do you feel that at all?
Well, initially I thought, okay, well, let me tell you a story. So my project finished November of 2019. Guess what happened? Pandemic happened 3 months later.
Dear Lord, dear Lord.
I'm like, oh crap.
Dear.
Yeah, who's gonna show up in my office? We're ready to just like we had a big party going on, opening party, and here we go. Pandemic, close the door. Oh, nobody talks to me. Everything went Zoom like this, and so it was funny the way things turned out to be. But be honest with you, yes, uh, the prices went up, but again, having my own surgery center, I was able to do now deep plane face and neck lift in my own surgery center, whereas before I had just a little procedure room. You can't do deep plane in a procedure room because you can't bring anesthesiologist or give IV sedation. You're not permitted. So that helped me to grow. Now, as you know, deep plane facelift is a whole different level than doing smash face.
Yeah.
So going from that gave me an opportunity to grow myself. So you utilize my knowledge and training that I have to the next level. So therefore, I started doing deep plane face and neck lift. So that and also working on my social media. Now I have better before and after pictures, more drastic results, not in a bad way. Whatever I do is natural. I'm not into creating, as I tell people, I'm not here to create movie stars here. I'm just here to create a rejuvenated version of people. I think that way, and I think the most natural way is the best way to represent a person so they look more youthful without being changed. So all that said, I've I'm able to do that with my deep plane face and neck lift. I'm still fine tuning, constantly learning, and always studying. I want to get it the best it can be, and constantly working on it, studying my own results, and get better at it, and take it to the next level.
And how helpful has it been for you to differentiate yourself because you are in a crazy uber competitive area? Do many do deep plane down there in Newport Beach, and do they do them under local and twilight? Has that
Uh,
been a good
well,
differentiator?
they call it deep plane, but frankly, it's not a true deep plane. It's a high mass facelift that was popularized for plastic surgeons for a long time. Is they call it deep plane, but frankly, they don't release any of these ligaments to under the SMAS. They only elevate the SMAS here, which is non-mobile SMAS. So the SMAS is non-mobile in this area, which no matter how much you lift, it lifts everything up, but it's not lifting the SMAS where it's mobile.
Yeah.
Whereas a true deep plane or extended deep plane, what I do, I release the ligaments from here, here, and the neck area. I go under where muscles and nerves and vessels are, it's deeper, and then lift the whole unit at one in more of a vertical way rather than going horizontally backward. So the direction is more upward. So basically, after I release the ligaments from zygoma, we call it here, the cheek, this tissue, it ends up here. This part, the ligament from here will end up here, and the neck, this part will end up in the back. So everything goes the direction that was falling. So now I'm doing a lot of those, and people from all over the world, literally different states, fly here. Obviously, I get 50% of my patients from California, but the rest are out of state.
Nice. Yeah, I've had both, and I like the deep plane a lot. You don't get that hockey stick, um, that thing on the side, where you get that. It's very
Yes.
natural feel there, and it feels much more of substance. It feels like a more structure has been put back in place.
Yeah, well, it's like you addressing the issue where is the problem.
Mm.
I did the smash lift for a long time, and I did great results, but it didn't last. I mean, my own technique that I developed, great results. It looks good, but it only lasted 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So obviously the price range for it is much lower too, but at the same time, I didn't get patients to look weird and hawkish, none of that business, because I created the triple C placation technique. But again, for me, a lot of people wanted to last longer. So in order to do that, you have to release the ligament. You have to do the hard work. You have to go beyond your comfort zone, and that's the deep plan. And it produces mind-blowing result that I love, and I truly enjoy when I sit down and doing surgery. I really enjoy doing it.
Well, I have to compliment you on your before and after photos. Not only are they natural, but there are a lot of them and they're all consistent. You have the same background, the same views. How in the world? Because everybody says to me, "Oh, Catherine, the women will not show their faces online." And I say, then how come some surgeons get hundreds of photos and you don't? So what's your secret? How are you getting those photos?
Well, honestly, the volume that I do is a lot. I mean, I do average 5 cases a week. So, and then once you have a reputation, once you have, per se, you have some notoriety, people want to be on your web. People ask me, say, I want to be on your Instagram, meaning they want to review. Honest, I don't ask them. I just say, talk to them, and then later on my staff ask them uh, for consenting for photography and videography. They say, yeah, I want to. And then my social media person interview them, and the photos are consistent. I don't like to deceive people from before pictures with no makeup right before surgery, and then when they all dolled up, they come for 2 months, 3 months post-op and take a photo and comparing apples and oranges. So I like to, if they have makeup beforehand, I would allow them to have makeup afterhand. Or if they don't, I would say just, whatever you did for pre-op, do the same thing. So even you wear the same clothes if you can. So people don't get distracted by nonsense like jewelry or whatever you have. Just look at your face. So that's the secret.
And the videos too. How are you getting that done? Do you have a social media person who's really good at directing somebody on video?
So I brought a gentleman who was working in construction, videography, and social media. But I help him to understand what we do here. I help him to, I don't micromanage, but I give him ideas. I say, okay, this is what we're looking for. Think about it. Like, think about what the final results are and how you're going to interview that interview. And then you can, and then when when you interview him afterward, you bring that idea and kind of match. If you look at my videos, exact movements are there, like what they did beforehand. If they smiled in the video and then just come next to each other, just mirror image of each other. So you can see exactly the same facial features that has been transferred.
Well, your Instagram is killer. You have like 205,000 followers. Is would you say that's your main marketing channel, or is it still your website and SEO? Where are these patients coming from?
So as we all know, things evolve. First was yellow pages and newspaper advertising and Riviera magazine, this and that, and then became like the things that you have to have. Now website becoming obsolete, but they are like reference points.
Mhm.
You have to have a wonderful website, a working website, but website is more local. So if you have a website, only your surround Google is not gonna make you visible in Switzerland or visible in Minnesota. You're just visible in Orange County at best if you're well optimized. So it's difficult to go out of your zone because Google wants everybody to be localized. That's the way their model is. So social media gave us another. I woke up to it late, to be honest with you. I didn't think of it as a game changer or anything. I thought it's just like, first of all, the young people posting like a photo. Before it was like photos, like sitting by the beach, and like my patients are older patients. They're not gonna care for it. Well, I was thinking small. That's what it was. And then once I realized, hey, I have an Instagram. My friends are older. They have Instagram, so why not? But it has to be different. You can't copy and paste somebody else's. You have to have your own taste into it. Obviously, there are people who have millions of followers. They started early. They built their followers and attracted people. Nowadays, it's very difficult. But I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I just put my content. I put a little flair of myself into the videos. But if your before and after pictures are not, I mean, they're not good. No matter what you do, it's not gonna grow. You have to have some substance and also how to.
How much time are you spending on your social media channel?
So honestly, I can't put a quantity into that. It's throughout the day. But if I have patients who said, yes, I want to be videoed, obviously we do video the patient beforehand. My videographer does that. And then during the surgery time, when I mark everything, they video that intraoperatively, that he comes in and video some of that. And then we interview him a day after surgery. So it doesn't, honestly, if you have somebody who does that for you and you train them, uh, that's why you have staff. You can't do everything. Some surgeons, they do everything themselves. you can't be good at everything. I delegate a lot of stuff and I have great staff. I'm not a super good business person, but I surround myself with people who understand business, how to interview staffing and hiring and HR. I'm not good at it. I'm soft. I can't do that kind of stuff. I'm a physician. I'm very soft in terms of HR and stuff. But I have people who do that. I find talents and I will give them the field, direction, and I tell them, this is your own business. Take care of it. I don't want to micromanage you. These are the things I'm looking to. These are my visions, but I want you to be creative. I want you to put your spice into it too.
What's the biggest challenge of running a practice in today's world?
HR.
Yeah, I hear that.
Hiring the right people and finding the right people. I don't know what happened after pandemic. Well, it was always challenging, believe it or not. But
Yeah,
post-pandemic, it seems like all the employees melted away. It's just like, where did these people go? It's just like you can't find nurses. You find some people like they're not qualified for what I'm looking for. So I compensate my staff really well because once I find a goal mine, I'm not going to let them go. I compensate him. I give him, like even the social media guy, I give him bonuses. If he creates, let's say, a video that, there are 10,000 likes and 400 comments in 24 hours, I give him a bonus. I said, you did amazing. Obviously, I did the work, but he presented in a way that people enjoyed it. So I give him bonus. That's how I, appreciate him doing that. Or if I see my medical assistant is going out of their ways to take care of patients who just had surgery and have a lot of questions and hand holding, I give him bonus.
that's a great
So
idea.
yeah, just yeah, feeling once you make staff a part of your practice, like meaning they put their blood and tears into it, they would. I mean, they feel that they're getting compensated. People start not working when they feel like they're working more than they are valued.
For sure.
So I compliment them. I not only verbally, but also uh, I don't boss them around. I tell them I'm a team player. I'm like Michael Jordan. Let's say if nobody passes the ball for me, there's no way I can score.
Yeah,
So it's like a teamwork. I may be the surgeon who produces most here, but again, if I don't have my medical assistant, there's nobody who's going to take care of my patient. If the front desk is not behaving correctly or answering people correctly, I'm not going to have patients. So I put them on bonus structure. So okay, if you people call and then they convert to become consult, I pay you because you did your work. You stay in connection with that individual. You ask them to send information. You follow up with them. If they don't care, it's okay. I make consult. Okay. If they don't follow up with that individual, it's going to get lost. And so it's important to incentivize individuals who work for you so they feel appreciated. And that's the way is a form of success. You're sharing success with others in terms of, the wealth and success.
and it's still a surefire way to get somebody to go above and beyond mediocrity, because oftentimes staff today just do the job, and you're looking for somebody who's willing to go above and beyond and really be a professional. And honestly, I don't know how else to do it. You have to give them a why, and the why is, yes, we're a team player, and when you go above and beyond, you're rewarded above and beyond. But back to staff again, on your website, I see that you can use Spanish. And one of the issues is I used to find staff for doctors all the time. And then they said, well, now I need Spanish. And that made it even 10 times harder because now I need somebody with skill and they speak Spanish and they're bilingual. Have you found that to be a challenge?
Well, it's I I try to be multicultural. So when I hire, if I mean, the challenge is to find good people, but if they're, I don't look at people colors or anything. I look at people who are talented. So I have all different kind of nationalities per se, my or African American, Chinese, Latina, all kind Greek, Persian, all kind of individuals. I have about 18 staff there. So having somebody who speaks Spanish, I wish I was able to speak Spanish because my Instagram is just like nonstop, like they're asking Spanish questions, and I answer some of those. That as you mentioned, how much time you put on that? Well, one of the things I do constantly reading, like people commenting. I answer not all of them. If you have 400 comments, there's no way I can go. But if somebody asks location or what's the cost of the procedure, I have to respond to them. But a lot of them in Spanish, I don't understand it. So that's one of the challenges. So I'm bringing AI. I signed up with an AI company that helps you manage your social media in terms of translation. Although um, Instagram translates some of that, but not in the messaging. When somebody sends a DM, those cannot be translated. So using AI to be able to answer some of this. So yeah, I'm on my phone when I'm at home, like nobody's around. I'm just doing that kind of stuff. So it's a constant 24 hour thing. I would say not 24 hours, but it takes a lot of time because it's a part of your revenue making uh, part of your business, and you can't ignore it. Is a source that people look at you and they want answers. If somebody asks me what's the cost of this procedure, obviously they have some sort of interest, and if you don't answer them, they're just gonna okay, this guy just put a before and after picture out there and doesn't say what the hell is going on. So kind of you got to communicate. It's not a one way of I have a megaphone in my hand that say, "Oh, I'm a great doctor. I did Facebook for this patient." You
Hmm.
have to also hear what they have to say and kind of communicate with them. But it takes a lot of time, honestly. Just I don't have all the time for it. I get help from my social media guy. He's busy creating videos. One of my second managers or operating directors, she answers. We all try to help each other to answer. It's a lot, each day, like 400 comments, like, it's difficult to manage, but hopefully I brought another person to do that, but again, didn't have good luck, honestly. I brought three different people that were not up for the task. They say they are qualified. Again, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm a social media expert." You bring them in, poor taste of design. Some of them, poor writing skill. I'm like, okay, how are you communicating with people? You can't write cause, OMG, like, you're not talking to your friends. This is business. So it's a challenge. I hope I find somebody else to bring on board to help me kind of communicate with my
That one's kind of a numbers
followers.
game. Trying that social media person. I would say that's our weakest link in most practices is the social media person, only because generally speaking, they're younger. They don't know the expectations. They haven't worked in the real world yet, like the real business world. And you're right. You think they're just talking to their friends, and no, where this is professional now, and they need a lot more direction. And I don't know about the reliability.
Exactly.
They don't want to come in often. They just
Yeah.
kind of want to do their
Like
thing.
they show up, like I had one show up at noon. You're supposed to be here at 9 o'clock. I mean, we don't start at 8, 7 a.m. 9 o'clock. This is like banker's office. 9 to 5. Noon. Where are you? Oh, it's just like a party last night. I just didn't get out. I'm like, what? Seriously, you're telling me?
Yeah. If,
Yeah.
if it's any consolation, it's a very common situation there. So the last question, so we can wrap this up. Tell us something very interesting we don't know about you. Although I think you coming from Iran through a revolution is fascinating, and I'd love to hear more about that. What else you got?
Well, I'm very outdoor person. I like mountain biking, road biking, snowboarding, and enjoy traveling. And and also I paint, and I don't have time to do sculpting because that takes a lot of time. But all this stuff, those are things some people know about me, some people don't. But I try to balance my life. By dedicating certain time. Like I get up early in the morning, 5 o'clock, and I exercise for an hour and a half before I come to work, put it aside. I want to be healthy. I want to be around for my kids to see my kids graduate from college, at least. Maybe I see my grandkids. So I just turned 60 and I want to be healthy and good shape, hopefully.
Well, congratulations. I think you just are doing a heck of a job, and you can always fall back on the art and sculpting if the plastic surgery doesn't work out. So,
Thank you.
it's a joke.
Or I will get trained to go tour de France.
All right.
I don't think so.
You really have to check out his website. It's drkevinsadati.com. The office is absolutely lovely. The before and after photos are amazing. The social media is spot on. I'm not just coming from me. I'll just looking at inside, looking into your inside. You're doing all the right things. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it for having me, and it was really a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. And that's going to wrap it up for us today at Beauty in the Biz. If you feel like it, please give me a nice review so we can spread the word. And if you've got any questions for me, you can always leave them at katherinemaley.com. Or if you really love the subject of business and marketing, check out my cosmeticpracticevault.com. You can also see it on my website at katherinemaley.com. I go into a lot of details about the business and marketing of and how you do it and all the examples of it. And that is it. We will talk again soon. Thanks so much. The fastest way to success is to model other successful surgeons who have what you want, but you can only see their results, not the path they took to get there. So you continue to jump from one thing to another, hoping to find something that will work for you too. But it rarely does. So try this shortcut instead. It's guaranteed to move you forward. I compiled my intellectual property to grow cosmetic revenues, everything I've gleaned over the years, into one playbook of the most successful practices and what they do to win. Go to cosmeticpracticevault.com and let's grow your cosmetic revenues.